Morning. Good morning. The Tepper School of Business MBA Diploma Ceremony is about to begin. Please find your seats and silence your devices. Before the ceremony gets underway, please note that emergency exits are located at the rear of the auditorium, along with the left and right sides of the auditorium. For those guests sitting closest to the front, there are two exits off stage left and stage right. All of the exits lead guests to interior hallways with exterior doors. Guests are invited to access the AI-driven live translation and captioning for the ceremony by scanning the QR codes located on the signage on the stage and throughout the auditorium. If you are able to do so, all guests should rise when the music begins as the procession and ceremony commence. Please be seated.
Good morning. I am Dr. Lawrence Alice, Senior Associate Dean for Education and Professor of Economics at the It is my great pleasure to welcome you all, the class of 2025, to your diploma ceremony. It is an honor and joy to see you all here today. Today's event marks a seminal moment in your career as well as your life. This day is all about you and your achievements. As a new MBA graduating from a top-ranked program, you have just completed a monumental achievement. As we gather here today, it's impossible not to be struck by the incredible spirit and unity that defines this MBA class. I want to take a moment to celebrate the heart of this class, the remarkable support system you've built together and the triumphs you have achieved. You've won case competition, including winning the first place at the National Black MBA Case Competition. Four of you part-time MBA classmates were finalists in the Wharton Private Equity Case Competition. Your classmates started multiple successful startups, including Coachify, Octoplus, Sabina, and Scotty Fetch. A classmate had a research publication on AI energy prediction featured on a top environmental research journal. Not to mention all that you've got done, including getting married and starting families. This is truly no small feat. All of this speaks to the overwhelming amount of help and guidance offered by the Graduate Business Association, as well as your dedicated club leader and each of you as classmates. To that end, over 50 graduating students dedicated their time and expertise to tutor their fellow classmates this year. That's not just a number. It's a testament to the collaborative ethos that thrives within this wall. It speaks volumes about the willingness of the Tepper School students to lift each other up and ensure everyone has the opportunity to succeed. You worked hard to develop meaningful events and activities and establish tradition for your classmates. Through the passion and dedication of our Students Club, to the joyful celebration of diverse cultures at beers, to the spark that ignited the Tepper Grad Instagram account, you forged moments of connection that we hope have enriched your time at the Tepper School in profound ways. Everyone, please join me in recognizing the class of 2025 with a round of applause. And because no one achieves greatness alone, I would like to congratulate all the parents, partners, family members, and guests of our graduates. As our students know well, they would not be here without the sacrifice, encouragement, and support that you have given over the years. With that, I would like now to ask the class of 2025 to join me in a round of applause to those who have helped them make this day possible. Class of 2025, we know that the faculty and staff here at the Tepper School played an important role in your experience and success. I would like to recognize the faculty and staff who are with us today. As I call you, please stand so we can recognize you. Senior Associate Dean of Faculty and Richard C. Green Professor of Financial Economics, Dwayne Seppi. Associate Dean Master's Program and Richard M. and Margaret S. Sire Professor of Organizational Behavior and Theory, Lori Weingart. Assistant Dean Master's Program, Tard Brinkerhoff. Associate Professor of Marketing and Strategy, Tim Derdinger. Associate Dean of Research and Carnegie Bosch Professor of Business Technology and Marketing, Param Singh. Associate Dean Undergraduate Program and Associate Professor of Organizational Theory, Strategy and Entrepreneurship, Oliver Hall. Executive Director, Online Master's Program, Meg Lucas. Teaching Professor of Strategy and Associate Dean of Engagement, David Major. Assistant Teaching Professor of Business Communication, Abby DePretis. Associate Teaching Professor of Accounting, Austin Sudbury. Assistant Teaching Professor of Business Analytics, Benjamin Collier. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Communication, Carla Bevins. Associate Teaching Professor of Acting and Business Communication, Dave Goyette. Thomas Lord, University Professor of Economics, Dennis Apple. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Ethics, Derek Lieben. Assistant Teaching Professor of Business Communication, Guillermo Caliendo. Associate Teaching Professor of Economics, John Gasper. Head Master of Science of Computational Finance Program and Associate Professor of Finance, Lars Kuhn. Thomas Lord, Professor of Organizational Behavior and Theory, Linda Argoti. Assistant Teaching Professor of Entrepreneurship, Meredith Grelli. Assistant Professor of Business Technology, Mohsen Forugafar. Distinguished Service Professor of Management, Robert Kelly. And let's give a round of applause to all of the faculty and staff who are in the audience with us today. MBA candidates, esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our Dean. Dr. Isabelle Bajou is a widely regarded leader in academia, finance, and interdisciplinary education. She joined us in fall of 2020 for McGill University in Montreal, where she had been Dean of the Neuchâtel Faculty of Management. Born in Paris, she earned a doctorate in mathematics applied to economics from the University of Paris Dauphine. Her leadership of the Tepper School has been characterized by an emphasis on interdisciplinary education and collaborative research. Just this year, Dean Bajou has launched our new strategic plan to propel the Tepper School into the intelligent future. And she has supported the launch of Tepperspective to broaden the impact of research through thought leadership. As you become alumni of the school, we hope you will continue to stay informed about the research being done here by following Tepperspective, and perhaps even apply it to the work you will be doing in the business world. Now, please join me in extending a warm welcome to the Dean of the Tepper School and the Richard P. Simon Professor of Finance, Dr. Isabelle Bajou.
Thank you, Professor Alice, for that gracious introduction. It is a great pleasure for me to be here to recognize the 2025 graduates of our MBA program. Today, we celebrate the culmination of your hard work and dedication to your studies. As MBA students at the Tepper School, you harnessed your ambition and embarked on a graduate school journey unlike any other. You juggle classes and school projects with work and family life, and you did so during a period of profound global uncertainty. We're living in a world marked by rapid technological change, shifting economic landscapes, and complex business challenges. The very nature of business is evolving at an unprecedented pace, and the future is less predictable than ever. However, it is precisely in this environment that the Tepper School distinguishes itself. We do not just equip you with knowledge, we empower you with the tools and mindset to thrive amidst uncertainty. Your time here has been more than mastering frameworks and theories. It has been about developing the analytical rigor, the data-informed decision-making, and the innovative spirit necessary to navigate a complex and uncertain world. You have learned to leverage the power of data and technology to solve real-world problems. You have honed your ability to collaborate and lead diverse teams. And you have cultivated the resilience and adaptability required to embrace change and seize opportunities. The challenges you face will be significant, but so are the opportunities. The skills you have developed at the Tepper School, your ability to analyze, strategize, and lead are in high demand. You are prepared to not only adapt to uncertainties of the future, but to shape it. You are ready to lead with confidence, innovation, and integrity, and to make a meaningful impact on the world. I can tell you for certain that our program is quite rigorous, and that those of you we are honoring today have worked extremely hard to meet our stringent demands. The accomplishments of the Tepper School are a testament to the incredible faculty we have here. Our faculty members are the bedrock of our institution, committed to academic excellence and dedicated to nurturing and guiding our students on their academic journey. They inspire excellence in every student they encounter, instilling in them the drive to pursue greatness and providing them with the tools to succeed. Equally integral to our success are our exceptional staff, who ensure the smooth functioning of our academic programs and administrative operations. And let us not forget about the families and friends here today. Your unwavering support and encouragement have played an integral role in the achievements we celebrate today. Your guidance and example have paved the way for our graduate success, and for that, we thank you. I would also like to acknowledge our Business Board of Advisors, a valued group of senior executives and alumni with whom we have built a long-standing partnership. Before I invite our guest, Mr. William Meaney, to the podium, I want to leave you with the inspiring words of Andrew Carnegie. Think of yourself on the threshold of unparalleled success. A whole, clear, glorious life lies before you. Carnegie's first point: you should view yourself on the threshold of unparalleled success, is a powerful reminder. We've prepared you for remarkable achievements. Don't dwell on past setbacks. See the moment as the launch pad for your potential greatness. Secondly, a whole, clear, glorious life lies before you. Paints a picture of a future filled with promise. Regardless of your path, your potential for greatness is within reach, waiting to be seized through determination. As you live here, I hope you take with you the skills you have gained and continue to ask hard questions and seek out the answers that you will make for the betterment of society. Remember, being an effective leader means creating a culture of continuous learning and development, where knowledge transfer and lifelong learning are prioritized. I want you to be proud of what you have accomplished, and even more proud about what you will accomplish. Use sound judgment, as well as data, to teach others into the intelligent future. We did not just teach you about business intelligence. We taught you about intelligent business. Use those skills wisely, ethically, and responsibly. I offer my congratulations to each one of you and those who supported you along your journey and your graduation from the Tepper School of Business. We wish you the best in your careers and in your lives. And please stay connected with each other. Stay connected with the Tepper School and with Carnegie Mellon University. It is my honor now to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. William Meaney. Bill is a 1986 MSIA graduate of the Tepper School and president and CEO of Iron Mountain, an information management and data center company. He also serves as a director on the company's board. A valued member of our alumni community, Bill is a former member of the Carnegie Mellon University Board of Trustees, and he has been an engaged alumnus and active supporter of the Tepper School. He's a member of the Asia Business Council, the Council of Foreign Relations, and he holds a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bill Meaney.
First, thank you for affording me the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm both honored and quite humbled to have such an opportunity to make a few remarks to a graduating body consisting of some of the top business graduates in the world. I must admit, as I was preparing for this, I quickly went to questioning, why did I ever agree to do this? In thinking, so I would leave that with you if you're ever in my shoes. You may want to rethink your answer. But in thinking, what can I say that will be helpful to all of you as you embark on your next chapter, seeking to make a positive impact for the institutions you will serve, as well as the loved ones you will share the journey with. As I stand here today, I remain very unsure as to whether or not my words can help. Some of you probably expect a rambling diatribe about a wandering career across multiple industries and continents. Others may be expecting a dry case study of how to transform a mature analog business growing at 2% per year into a hybrid digital business growing over 10% a year across more than 60 countries, increasing its market value by more than 5x. Even though I am sure you have studied here at Tepper much better examples of how to transform a business. So as luck would have it, a friend of ours sent me a book a few weeks ago called Life in Three Dimensions, and it's by Dr. Ushi, a professor of psychology at University of Chicago. So I'd like to borrow from Dr. Ushi's framework for my remarks on what might be worthy of your consideration as you continue your journey after Tepper. His three-dimensional framework, which he believes factors into a fulfilling life, are richness. Think of this as novelty or perspective change. Meaning, in other words, your impact, and happiness or joy. I must admit, when I read his book, three things struck me. First, I feel very lucky. As I read his book, I felt I have indeed experienced a life in a career which has had significant periods of high and special meaning, whilst experiencing many rich and novel experiences which have expanded my learning and my thinking. My second reflection was, for me, happiness is almost an output of the first two, richness and meaning. If you have a lot of richness and meaning in your life, and you were able to do it whilst the path has been fun and done with a playfulness and a sense of humor, aren't you naturally going to be happy? Lastly, reading the book helped me better understand why I feel happy most days. I have been blessed with a life full of adventure, having taken me across the globe, living in 4 continents. Moreover, this travel has afforded me a life rich in the challenges of transforming businesses, as I've always been attracted to intervening in situations which had a need for some kind of redirection. Last and not least, I have found real meaning along the way, which have been true pillars in my life. My first in service to my country, and more recently, through my marriage and my family. So for what it is worth, what are some of the paths I would encourage you to think about as you consider options through your journey? Let's start with meaning, as it's probably an area where one needs to be the most deliberate and intentional if you are going to achieve this. For me, this is pursuing something which is bigger than oneself. This can be found through a number of paths and depends on the individual's likes, tastes, talents, and opportunities. To me, the fundamental test, if you are close to the mark, is asking yourself, am I primarily in the service to others, and is that service associated with greater ideals than narrowly associated with my own well-being? Whilst all my business careers have been in the service industry, whether consulting, airlines, pharmaceutical distribution, and now information management, My true feeling of meaning came from my privilege to work at the agency in service to my country. I instinctively chose this path to the chagrin of my father, given I had an offer from Schlumberger, which would have paid over $40,000 a year, whilst the agency started me at a whopping $24,400 per year. I know those of you say, he must be really old. However, in spite of the lower pay, working at the agency was a true privilege, and one I will always be grateful for. It was for sure the second best decision of my life. My second opportunity was to experience a true sense of meaning was my best and most recent decision, and that was my marriage to Judith and helping her raise our 2 children. As a spouse, there is nothing more meaningful than to care for and look after one's partners and children if you're lucky enough to be afforded such an opportunity. I should also add that I almost missed this opportunity, as it took me until I was 42 to find Judith and get married, and I was 43 and 45 respectively when Anya and Nelson came along. As I often say to my colleagues, we love our families and we like our jobs. It is not important, it's super important to remember that, and it's not that you shouldn't be passionate about what you do, but you need to maintain a perspective of what our responsibilities are and how some of those give us true meaning, not because it is about us, but because it's about others. To be clear, these are my experiences, though through which I have found true meaning. For each of you, the experiences necessary for meaning will probably be much different, but I suspect at their root, they will be similar. Let me now turn to richness. For me, it's about growth in multiple dimensions, and the root of growth for me was driven by curiosity around a wide range of topics and people. Some folks may say this involves visiting and living in foreign lands. I've done that. Some folks will say it's going back to school and restudy or examine something you or others have looked at before for greater and new insights. Others would say take on a job where you are not sure you will succeed, but if you do succeed, you will have an amazing view of what is possible by conquering fears and gaining new skills and strengths. I've done this with some success, as well as quite a few setbacks. Others will say it's to go to a dinner party or a new place, be open to meeting new people, speaking with them you don't know, you never knew before, and you have little in common with. For me, this has led to some of my richest experiences. Many of my friends and colleagues will remark that I have an amazing network across the globe. I can honestly say I do have an amazing network, but I have never had an objective called build a great network. Rather, my network was built out of a sense of curiosity and learning. Sure, this has given me business opportunities down the road, but that was never the driver. I generally like to learn, and it's easier to learn from others, even when at times I travel great distances to meet a single person. And this is easier than trying to do it purely by yourself or self-study. I should add, developing networks due to curiosity and wonder about people not only allows unique learning experiences, but gives you many trust-based relationships as well. These trusted relationships in themselves provide you with more resiliency when the inevitable setbacks arrive. It goes without saying, however, maintaining these relationships also requires attention, so it is worth thinking about this as you leave Tepper and contemplate how to stay connected to the relationships you have forged here. When thinking about richness and growth in your life, remember the words of singer Bob Dylan, who summed it up best in the lyrics of his song, "It's All Right, Ma," when he sings, "If you are not busy being born, you're busy dying." And part of growing or being born is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. as a certain level of discomfort is necessary to truly grow and expose yourself to new situations and new people you have never encountered. Finally, will all this make you happy? It did for me. The only thing which may determine if we are able to effectively derive happiness from a meaningful and rich life is perhaps determined by the how we engage in situations which are both meaningful and rich, as well as the quantity of each. Let's start with the quantity of rich and meaningful situations. As Nietzsche famously said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. So for sure, we need to be resilient and remain optimistic when faced with trials and tribulations, as not every enriching or meaningful endeavor will be easy or even successful. So if we seek plurality in enriching and meaningful opportunities, we need to be able to handle setbacks. So how do we build this resiliency? We build it like any skill, through practice coupled with a strong sense of optimism and determination. In practice, this means don't feel sorry for yourself during difficulty, but rather embrace it. Don't close yourself off when you have a setback or someone rebuffs you, but learn from it. And do not despair when you feel lost, but remain optimistic that you will find a way forward and continue along your journey to your goal, knowing that you may even change your goal or views as you continue to learn along the way. So how can a difficult yet enriching and or meaningful experience be happy or fun? It's in a large part of the attitude you bring to the experience. First, I suggest you guard against becoming so goal-focused that you lose sight of the fun of the journey. I had a client and senior manager of British Airways say to me many years ago, there are two kinds of people, those that manage their career and those that manage their job or tasks. He went on to say he always focused on and enjoyed the task on hand, and it all worked out and he had fun along the way. I should point out that he started on a hot and noisy ramp marshaling airplanes as a youngster, and by the time I met him, he was in the senior management cadre of the airline. I also remember a psychologist at the agency once told me when I was a youngster, "You are adventurous, but you will outgrow that." I am happy to say, maybe my parents wouldn't share this, I haven't. And still, I have the eyes of a child when it comes to exploring and am open to experiences that come from the journey and not just the feeling and experience of the destination. For sure, I am blessed. I've had multiple opportunities to continue to grow and pursue enriching experiences, all whilst hanging on to meaningful experiences. And to get through those times of adversity, I have always had friends and family to laugh with, great teams and people I work with whom I admire, and especially the last 23 years, a wife and children whom I adore and I would do anything for. Finally, I will always be grateful that at the beginning of my career, I had the privilege to be a small part of an organization whose mission is, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So as you leave Tepper, have the confidence that all of you are already well accomplished, prepared, and are in a position that your path and journey can almost entirely be determined by you with the grace of God. Otherwise, you wouldn't be walking across the stage soon to collect your diploma. You are bright, you have demonstrated you embrace hard work, and you are already recognized for many accomplishments which are attractive to many audiences, and all of this at a very young age. Therefore, your ability to find a path embracing all three dimensions is mostly up to you. You should remember this especially on those days when things seem darkest or when you have a setback. And remember the skills, teamwork, and perseverance, or as my kids would say, the grit you have learned here allows you to pursue a rich life by by taking risks that others may find fatal. And please remember to maintain your optimism during the darkest moments. As Annie reminds us in song, the sun will come out tomorrow. I am Irish, so it seems appropriate that I end with the Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft on your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, for these very heartfelt and deeply personal reflections. What an incredible journey you are on, filled with global adventures, fearless career pivots, and my favorite part, the beautiful surprise of your late found love and the growth of your family. You have pursued a life of richness, meaning, and happiness, and you've done so with optimism, curiosity, and service to others. Thank you for offering our graduates a powerful and inspiring framework that encourages them to seek the path that may present challenges, but ultimately will bring joy, not just success. I'm confident your guidance will serve them well as they begin their next chapter of life. On behalf of our graduates, dear guests, and the Tepper School faculty, I would like to thank you for being with us today and to present you with the Tepper School of Business Award for Distinguished Alumni Speaker. We are pleased to honor your success and accomplishments. Thank you so much.
We will now begin the presentation of faculty and student recognition, followed by the presentation of diploma to the graduates. I will start by recognizing the faculty who have demonstrated an exceptional commitment to teaching excellence. The George Leland Bach Excellence in Teaching Awards honors faculty excellence for teaching in the MBA program. The graduating class votes among those nominated to determine the winner. This year, the nominees are Professor Tim Derdinger, Professor Jeff Galak, Professor Tae-Wan Kim. This year, the recipient of the George Leland Bach Excellence in Teaching Award is Professor Tim Derdinger. Now I would like to invite Dr. Lori Weingart, Associate Dean, Master's Program, and Richard M. and Margaret S. Sayert, Professor of Organizational Behavior and Theory, to the podium to announce the MBA Program Students Awards.
All right, now we're going to move to the interactive portion of the program. As you know, the Tepper School prides itself for its academic rigor. But along with the toughness comes a remarkable spirit of cooperation and support of fellow students so that everyone succeeds. We have students in the class who distinguish themselves by their exemplary efforts in serving as teaching assistants in many of our core and elective classes. As I call your name, please stand where you are and remain standing so that we can recognize the group. Shota Amano. Jason Chand. Unmal Chaturvedi. Gregory Dooley. Nicholas Fisfis. Haripriya Gopal. Marisa Gwen. Khushbu Hussain. Rishav Jain. Brigu Kapoor. Tanya Mishra. Sai Prem Chan Naredi. Akarsh Palnikar. Kian Powell. Priyabat Senupati. And Shilvia Salalahi. Sorry about that. And Taylor Strong. All right. By nomination of the Tepper School faculty, these students are the winners of the 2025 Outstanding Teaching Assistant Award. Thank you and congratulations to you all. Thank you. You can be seated. Thank you. Some of our students distinguish themselves in the classrooms through their consistent, outstanding academic work. Those students will be graduating with university honors. We will recognize those students as they cross the stage during the awarding of degrees. Next, we're going to recognize the 2025 recipients of the Tepper School of Business Awards. So the way we'll do is I'm going to call a bunch of names. You'll all stand up on the side of the stage, and then we'll give out the awards. So will the following students please join us? Caroline Campbell, Charles Friend. Go ahead and head over, yep. Paul Grech, Pradeepa Jayachundran, Brigu Kapoor, Shana Kulhali, Bodgan Michka, Jonathan Ostheim, Katie Post, yeah, and John Valdez. We'll give everyone a moment to gather on the side of the stage. Okay. The Robert Sullivan Distinguished Community Service Award recognizes the graduating MBA student who has demonstrated a strong commitment to the community through leadership, volunteering, and service projects. Please join me in congratulating Caroline Campbell. The Yuji Ajiri Award for Academic Excellence in Accounting recognizes a graduating student for achieving success in the area of accounting. Please join me in congratulating Charles Friend. The John R. Thorne Entrepreneurship Award recognizes a student with outstanding potential for an entrepreneurial career, as evidenced by work in the Tepper School of Business academic and experiential programs. Please join me in congratulating Paul Grech. The Tepper School of Business Award for Academic Excellence in Finance is based on outstanding performance by a graduating student in the finance curriculum. Please join me in congratulating Bogdan Michka. Okay. The Tepper School of Business Award for Academic Achievement Excellence in Marketing honors the graduating student who's demonstrated excellent marketing skills or aptitude through superior work in the marketing concentration, participation in the Tepper School Marketing Club, and any other significant contributions to marketing education or research at the Tepper School of Business. Please join me in congratulating John Valdez. The Accelerate Award for Excellence in Organizational Behavior, Communication, and Leadership is based on performance in organizational behavior and communication, core and elective courses, along with engagement in leadership development while at the Tepper School of Business. Please join me in congratulating Katie Post. The Edward R. Mosier Award for Excellence in Operations acknowledges a graduating student achieving excellence in the area of operations management. Please join me in congratulating Jonathan Ostheim. The Francis G. Walker Award for Academic Excellence in Strategy and Strategic Planning is based on outstanding performance by a graduating student in elective strategy courses. Please join me in congratulating Chinook Kohali. Building on a recognition of excellence within each of the programs, we now turn to celebrate students who have demonstrated outstanding academic achievement across their entire academic journey. The Tepper School gives 2 awards to recognize the top students of the graduating class, one honoring exceptional academic performance, and the other acknowledging a remarkable combination of academic success and an interdisciplinary approach to their studies. The recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award in the MBA program is Pradeepa Jayachandran. Okay. Finally, our most prestigious award is the Elliott Dunlap Smith Award for Excellence. It's named in honor of the former provost of Carnegie Mellon, who was instrumental in founding the Graduate School of Industrial Administration, which is now the Tepper School of Business, and it was founded in 1949. Awarded by vote of the faculty, the Elliott Dunlap Smith Award for Excellence is presented to the graduating student who best exemplifies both the mission and goals of the Tepper School of Business. The 2025 recipient is Brigu Kapoor. Congratulations to all of our award recipients. Your contributions have continued the tradition of academic excellence and service to the Tepper School community. We'll now continue by awarding our MBA degrees. It's what you came for. Professor Alice, if you could join me on stage. Members of the audience, we ask for your cooperation in allowing students to approach the stage as well as leaving the aisles clear so that family and friends may have unobstructed views. Please remain seated while taking any personal photographs. And of course, out of respect for all of our graduates and our guests, we ask you to remain for the entirety of the ceremony. We'll acknowledge our students as a group at the conclusion of the awarding of degrees.
I will now introduce the candidates for the Master of Business Administration. Will the MBA graduates please come forward? Ryan Space. With university honors, Monica Palleri. Satya Dasara. Sanjay Mysore. Varun Samineni. Venkata Kishore Gariraju. Kashyap Mantravadi. Bhavana Suvant. Advik Shetty. Abdul Rahman Mohammed. Otto Sunday. Dongqiang Guang. Robert Squire. Cody Baker. Roy Navid. Matthew Westfall. With university honors, Shonak Kulhali. Yi Guo. Roman Daichenko. Morgan Lyon. Katie Post. Yi Lu. Nicole Jung Lee. Shell Pu. With university honors, Mark Aboff. Michael Chaheen. Madeline Saunders. Nikita Rohit Patel. Jasmine Bradbury. Lena An. With university honors, Karthik Balasubramanian. With university honors, Kareem Harji. Rakesh Kulkarni. Ranshir Singh. Ram Chaitanya Golbaru. With university honors, Pradeepa Jayachandran. Aritra Mukherjee. Anusha Jupali. Brian Kitsu. Simone Sears. Elizabeth Lee. Jennifer Connell. Carter Housenecht. Jason Kumar Chand. With university honors, Rishabh Jain. Anurag Rakde. Priyanka Prambut. Abrar Mohammed. Ziru Chung. Julia Qingting Li. Hannah Messinger. Phoebe Wager. Julia Clendenin. Dominic Vysotsky. Benjamin Stewart. Harrison Grimm. Brady Stoltzman. Arthur Deschamps. Naveen Nandrajog. Keith Thrush. Kevin O'Brien. Scott Riley. Dylan Lawson. Joseph Petty. Derek Sun. Bhavna Paritala. Paula Alvarez. With university honors, Bakshar Srinivasan. With university honors, Harley Chang. With university honors, Priyasha Pratik. Daniel Kennett. Sid Madhavapaddy. Juan Andre de Vera. William Mistretta. With university honors, Jessica Evans. Ryan Weiner. David Shaw. Wei Xiong Liang. Su Wei Huang. Ung Chun Lee. Danang Gultam. Vikra Arsha. Sylvia Sililahi. Tatiana Imler. Jennifer Bettenker. Ruben Quesada Alvarado. Hutan Bozorg Haddad. Clayton Metcalf. Stefan Ekman. Min Nguyen. William Reed Apfelbaum. Henry Butler. Chirapat Srisitiruk. Sandapan Nandi. Antara Saha. Tianyi Bai. Ivy Hu. Yi Bo Gong. Emily Turrialba. Megan Schrock. Leslie Paul J. Murison. Jamerson. Marissa Gwynn. Jiao Chong Wang. Chase Deal. Tadashi Umeda. With university honors, Shota Omano. Kevin Hanshaw.
Richa Bhide, say the B and the HI together.
Richa Bide. Oluwadila Oyeyele. Tanya Mishra. Chinmay Mungara. With university honors, Nitin Purumal. Usman Khan. Henry Kloss. Uday Bajaj. Michael Zelenka. George Keenan. Sanjay Mathur. Gabriel Rogo. With university honors, Gregory Dooley. Bogdan Michka. With university honors, Abdulrahman Ali. Runank Bobde. Joseph Katarinsik. With university honors, Jonathan Ostheim. David Haas. Blake Rodenberger. Kian Powell. Jack Martin. Corey Lacha. Samuel Oso. Charles Friend. Mitsuhiro Hayashida. Soji Kim. Fonda Santoso. Carol Garcia Arones. Masa El Brahimi. Ria Karsachia Madapa. Christopher Kim. Selma Sosik. Chanel Geeter. Delaney Clazel. Michael Carosi. Andrew Vislowski. Shiv Madireddy. With university honors, Junwei Lin. Paramveer Singh. Christopher Rafalski. With university honors, John Valdez. Stephen Clarko. Justin Matlock Styler. Kaylee Zalemski. Camille Roig Royna. Alexandra Zapeta. Haripriya Gopal. Krupa Patel. Anshika Singh. Vamsidhar Kakani. Ayush Chauhan. Monica Hembram. Nathaniel Patterson. Timothy Watts. Philip Palmer. Riley Smith. Rohan Billa. Anmol Chaturvedi. Ogechuku Asa. Julie Nagusi. With university honors, Vinicius Avelar. With university honors, Joshua Phillips. Tiago Tercero Irineo. Andrew Jaramillo. Sebastian Singh. Rocco LaCava. Harrison Milichek. David Morrison.
It's okay, we can still read it.
Kendrick Hales. Taylor Blanchard. Taylor Strong. Anna Torobara. Varshita Ravi. Sonja Gopakumar. Asha Johnson. Vijay Krishna Nalanka. Nicholas Fisfis. Cody Campbell. Caroline Campbell. Christopher Cliff. Anurag Salandri. Abiezer Davila. Okay. Itareth Patel. Yatarth Bansal. David Eric Yaconi. Lia Kwang. Surbi Santosh Mantri. Siddharth Mehta. Robertus Dane Sukayo. Qianrong Zhu. With university honors, Mohammad Reza Hassanzada Goraki. With university honors, Si Chi Jiang. With university honors, Robert Jordan. Eleanor DiNardo. Deepali Goyal Visero. Mayunk Panchal. Rushab Patel. Shreyansh Patak. Punyapa Punapanot. With university honors, Tanapot Patawejwang. Aichiro Waisakra. Austin Wu. Jeffrey Chung. Nanhee Ko. Mizuho Masai. Sai Harshita Tupili. Cho Mei Chung. Paul Gregg. Kiran Kasturi. Tanvi Anand. Nishi Shah. Kirsana Govindarajan Sanath Kumar. Elena Kokabas. With university honors, Sai Prem Chandreddy Naredi. Mubin Park. Takeshi Wada. Meenakshi Ramu. Akash Palnitkar. Darshini Chilakapati. Apeksha Bambani. Vaishnavi Merugu. Luke Profio. Sean Jepson. John Fazzini. Christopher Leisher. Mike Seifert. Madison Lewis. Jordan Wilson. Maria Santilli. With university honors, Khushbu Hussain. With university honors, Brigo Kapoor. Diksha Dubey. Xinyi Gao. Hajima Shimada. Narolita Fubian. Fadli Adiyansha. Joy Hu. Rongqian Zhu. Juncheng James Chen. Audrey Mwasame. Brenton Logan. Terrell Galloway. Please join us in congratulating the Tepper School of Business MBA class of 2025.
Today's ceremony underscores the immense pride we have in each of you. As you leave here today, each us from faculty, administration, and staff sends our best wishes for your success in all of you do. You're now members of the alumni community of the Tepper School of Business at Carnegie Mellon University. Your time as a student has concluded, but you're an alumni forever. I hope that you will stay connected with your friends and classmates, with your advisors and faculty, and with the Tepper School. The deep relationship you have formed here will serve you through your lifetime. For the last several years, you made the city of Pittsburgh your second home. You already know this, but you have been aware of the long-standing tradition in Pittsburgh sports to wave towels to rally our team. In the spirit of Pittsburgh, we're bringing this tradition to you as a one last collective experience for the class of 2025. As you exited the stage, you received a Tepper towel. I now invite the class of 2025 once more, and the Tepper of our platform team, to rise and wave our Tepper towels in celebrations. Excitement. All right. This concludes the 2025 Diploma Ceremony. As we begin the recessional, I'd like to ask the graduates to allow the faculty and administrator on stage to exit first. Graduates should then follow the faculty, exiting row by row, starting with the first row. Once you exit the auditorium, please head to the corridor on your left to pick out your actual diploma. I'd also like to ask the guests to please remain seated until the faculty and graduates have exited the auditorium. Once again, To all our graduates, congratulations. Thank you for joining us today.